Hello and welcome to Epicenter. No ambiguity, no noise. Let's come straight to the point. How many times have you heard that there is a time to achieve your goals, and once that time passes, it's all over? Or have you heard many people telling you that whatever you do in first 25 years of your life, that will determine your future? Or in the context of women, we often hear life is really over with marriage and then totally over after children. Life can only be understood backwards, but it must be lived forwards. My guest today believes that her life is her message. She has lived her life always looking forward, but in the process has left a remarkable legacy with whatever she has touched. I am truly honored and delighted to have Dr. Swaroop Rawal on the Epicenter today. Swaroop Rawal really needs no introduction. Her name evokes nostalgia for many in my generation. Millennials know her as a supportive mom in Satya or Suhasini Shergill of Uri. There is not one woman in Indian subcontinent who has not worn Shringar Bindi and hasn't seen her face on the Bindi packet. She is an actor, teacher, and educational trainer who first became a household name due to her performance in hugely popular television serial called Ye Jo Hai Zindagi. She won Miss India contest in 1979 and represented India at Miss Universe 1979. Swaroop Rawal obtained a PhD in education from the University of Worcester. She's a trainer traveling across India to conduct workshops for teachers. She was selected as one of the top 10 global finalists for the Global Teacher Prize conducted by Varkey Foundation amongst 10,000 nominations from 179 countries worldwide. She is Dr. Swaroop Rawal, and she is our guest on Epicenter today. Welcome to the show, Dr. Rawal. Welcome to the show, Dr. Rawal.
How
First
are
of
you?
all, we have to settle. What do I call you? Dr. Rawal, Swaroop Bain, that I've been calling you, Swaroop
Yes.
Sampal, that the world knows you by. What are you most comfortable with?
You can call me Swaruben.
Okay,
But
perfect.
Sunanda, before we begin, I have to tell you that it's an honor for me to be on the show because I'm a huge fan of yours.
No. I mean, this is a moment for me. I have to tell you, so then because many years ago I shared with you already, but I must share with the audience. Many years ago, when I was just a student, I watched Sarubian on and the Paresh Rawal on. It was a theater. It was a show that they were doing across United States. I was a student, and I remember in Denver they had brought that show, and it was just a two-person show, and they were on the screen, and I still remember how much I laughed. It was a comedy, and how much I laughed, and how good they both were. I had already known both of them were stars for me. And I remember after the show, I tried like those one of those starry-eyed individuals. I tried to go to the organization.
Backstage.
Those days there were no cell phones really,
Yes.
smartphones. There were cell phones, but those little ones, no smartphones. So I remember I went there and I said, can I please get an autograph? And they said, no. They threw me away. So this is a moment for me to be in conversation with you, Sarubin.
How nice. How nice.
Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
People know you a lot as an artist, and that is why the title is Portrait of an Artist as an Educator. But I
I
wanted to
loved it.
talk a little more about your work as an educator, because nothing is more important than the other. Both are important. Both are, all facets of life are important. They enrich everybody. But your side as an educator, I think, isn't as well known as the other side is. So I thought it was a good idea to talk about what you do, and how you have not compartmentalized your life in one thing or the other. Everything flows so organically, everything flows so beautifully. You've never said that, okay, this is what I do, and now this is not what I do, this is good, this is bad. You have just moved so organically from one thing to another, wherever life has taken you. But first, I want to go to the very beginning. Swaroop Sampath is born in Mumbai, and she is born to a very famous theater artist and theater producer of his time. And your mother is a surgical oncologist. So this is a beautiful harmony of science and art in your house even before you were born.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes.
Tell us, how was it growing in that household in Mumbai, with art and science both working together and sort of raising you?
It was really fantastic because for me, you're not going to believe this, but I was a very, very shy person. And for me, the best thing was to go to rehearsals with my dad and, go backstage and watch all the people and even sometimes be in the audience and watch a play going on. So that was really exciting. And I've been doing that since I was like 6, 7 years old. Funnily, I think dad kind of prepared me for all of this because I used to go to press conferences with him, holding on to his hands, and, meet the people of the press, even when I was 5, 6 years old. So later on, when I became Miss India and an actress, and now even as a teacher, when I have to talk to the press, I know exactly how to talk, how to behave, how to, like not get scared. And press conferences, imagine going to it when you're 5 and 6. It's, okay, cool, press conference, that kind of a thing.
You don't know what the word stage fright is. That never
Yeah,
happened.
I really don't know because, the stage was like a home to me. So even when I went on stage for the Miss India, I was so comfortable, because you see, actually looking at the audience from the stage can be quite scary.
Yes.
And so I think the other girls had a little bit of a disadvantage because, they were probably coming on stage for the first time, where I was, being on stage is nothing, like I've been on stage all the time. Okay, I have not acted much, but still. So, but I think my parents were the loveliest and the most coolest people. I can say that, because there was one very. My dad wanted me to study commercial art because I was very good at painting. And I was studying commercial art and I was really wild with my paintings. And I remember in the third year, that's quite, you're nearly there. And the teacher says, you shouldn't have joined commercial arts, you should have joined fine arts. And I'm like, hello, this is a bit late for that. The other thing is that I was doing morning college and going to college in the morning to do my BA. And, Sunanda, I'm actually a dropout because I just left all my papers blank and came because I was too bored to write it. But my
This is
parents
a
never
very
yelled at
important
me.
point, because I brought it up in my introduction also, that nothing really ends till you
Yeah.
want to end it. So even though temporarily your life as a student ended when you were not interested and you were giving in your answer papers blank, but your
Yes.
life as a student never ended. And
Yes.
you picked it up later, and we will go back to it. But this is a very important takeaway here, that you never gave up the mindset of a student even though you were bored with the classroom.
Yes. Actually, you know what? I met Paresh when I was 16, and he was, I think, 18, 19. And there was this whole group of friends like Shafi Namdar
Yeah.
and, the others that were there. And all of us had a very funnily academic view to theatre. In the senses, we went to the American Library or the British Council Library and we would read theatre books. When we went to see films, sometimes we just looked at it from a study point of view. And Paresh is still like that. I mean, can you imagine? He's such a huge star and he's such a great actor. Yet, about a year back, he said, maybe I should just take a break in acting and follow another actor and learn from him.
Wow.
So, yeah, we always had that mindset of learning.
But theatre in India, correct me if I'm wrong, theatre in India was always considered an intellectual pursuit, and
Yes.
films were considered massy. They were for masses. But theatre was an intellectual pursuit.
Always. And the kind of plays that they did then was so fantastic, like Seven Angry Men or Pygmalion. And and imagine you're growing up watching senior artists doing. We didn't do it. I mean, of course, Paresh's, my first play was a play which was not Paresh's first play, but was his best play, was a play called Equus, with Shafi Namdar and Paresh in it.
Yeah.
And one of the greatest theatre personalities had come to see it. And he said that, I'm whipped by your emotions. So, I mean, that was how it was always. Sunanda, you don't know how much I tried to study again in all that, like when I was 22, 23. But I was all the time traveling, so I could never meet that etiquette exam or whatever they call, what they call the midterm exams.
Yeah.
And I always had this terrible feeling that, I'm an undergrad, I'm a college dropout. But life just went on.
At this time, even though you are a college dropout and you have this little thing bothering you, the success is coming through other ways. You are already Miss India by now, and you already are a successful model to some extent, and
Yes.
you start getting film offers, and you're all of 18 or 19, right?
Yes. I was just 18 when I did my first film. Actually 17 plus something. And both incredible directors, Rishikesh Mukherjee and Yashraj Films.
Yes.
Both on the same day I signed.
Yeah.
So,
how did your parents react? Because
my dad loved it because both the directors and Yashji were very close to dad. Then they knew him very well because of theatre. My mom was terrified for me that here is her daughter entering the big bad world, as she would call it, because I mean, poor thing, she was a doctor. So she says, we are here with you, we don't need your money, like please use your sense when you're doing stuff. And because one of the things was that she knew that she could not leave her profession to come with me.
Yeah.
Whereas, at that time, especially female artists especially had their mothers coming with them. And my mom says, I can't come with you. So if you can take care of yourself, then do films, otherwise don't do it, And obviously I didn't expect her to leave her career for me. And I said, no, I can take care of myself, which I could. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing to have a working mom. I think that also leaves a lot of seeds in there, because here is a mother who has an identity and a life of her own,
Yes.
independent of her husband and independent of what her daughter is going to be. She's still life
Yeah.
of her own. So you are now you're engaged to Paresh, and you're doing all these films and theater and everything, and life is going well. And at what point did you think that this was not enough?
So, actually, I think I was there in the worst time of the Hindi film industry. Seriously, I think Rishida was growing old,
Yeah.
and there were a few people doing good films, but there were a whole lot of people doing such different kind of films. And it's not as if I'm trying to be arrogant, but our sensibilities didn't match.
Yeah.
So I was like,
It was
finally,
a bad period between the golden period and then the 2000s.
yes,
It was
yes.
that a little post Amitabh Bachchan period, and it was kind of the
It
mood
was,
was
yeah, it
bad.
was
It
very,
was
very awkward, that
a very
time.
awkward time. I think Hindi
Yes,
cinema was trying to find its feet. Yeah.
right. And Ye Jo Hai Zindagi came to me.
Mhm.
Uh, Again, on that same day, I was offered another serial, and I had to choose between one.
Mhm.
And I went with Ye Jo Hai Zindagi because I just, Satish. And in fact, people don't know, but Paresh was offered Shafi Namdar's role,
Oh,
and he didn't do it because he didn't want to do television.
yeah.
He wanted to be a film star only, and act only in films or theater. And there was Rakesh Bedi and like the directors, and it was so beautiful. I said, I'm going to do this. That was the time when it was, I did Ye Jo Hai Zindagi, and I became a huge star
Yeah.
because this one was even popular in the South.
Yeah.
Everybody liked it. I don't think there's
TV took you
anybody
to
who didn't.
everybody's TV took you to everybody's living room right away.
Absolutely. And we really worked hard for it.
Yeah.
After that, I got married
Mm.
immediately because Paresh, like we were going around for a long time, and then Paresh got numb, and we said, okay, now's the time to get married. And we got married, and we immediately had kids because, we've known each other for so long. That's when I kind of, cut down my work, but I didn't cut it off immediately. I was just doing a bit of television. I was not doing films because I was not getting good roles. I'll tell you very truthfully, there's still that weird time and
Mm.
very bad roles, and I was just not interested in doing that.
Mm.
I was like, either it's good or no. I mean, because I love films, I'm not ready to compromise and do crap.
Yeah.
The other thing is that I could not now keep on doing too much work because I had two sons.
Yeah.
And, you know, of course, it's a typical way of saying it, you're not going to believe it. But every day of their school life, I've been at home for them at 3:30 when they came home,
Of course.
in spite of doing everything. That's the time when I started studying again. I was doing Ikebana. I made new friends because I was living in South Bombay and I came to Juhu. I made new friends. But no matter where we were, at 3 o'clock, we said, no, it's time to go home for our kids.
Yeah.
And I think that's what I wanted to do, be there for my children. Not to make them study and stuff like that. In fact, I used to give them snacks and say, get out and go and play.
But just
Just
to be,
forget about it. Yeah.
just to be there. Yeah, just to
Yeah.
watch them grow. So
Yeah.
this is at what point do you decide now that you are going to change the course and you're going to go back to being a student because you're a dropout now, and it's not easy to go back into. It doesn't make it, and earlier it was even more difficult in. United States, it's a lot more easier for people to come back to education. You will often find places where people come back, and there is no stigma attached or anything. It's thing. But in India, it's not that easy for a mother of two to go back to school. So tell us this journey of being a dropout, and then how did you get back into this education system to get back your degrees, because that is what a lot of people would like to know because they don't know how to get back into the system.
So there was me, 37 years old, with a college dropout and taking care of two sons, a proper housewife. Not that that's wrong, but still. I had a huge pile of trashy romantic novels right near my bedside. And one day Paresh came home from work and he looked at it and he says, is this what you've fallen to? And I was like, oh my God, that's not good. And as you were talking, I remember another very interesting thing, which you would be very surprised to know, because it's in America. I remember this because you said talked about America. I was there in America around that age, 37, and it was the 100th year of the New York Central Library. And we were there hanging around in that area, and there was a function going on, and they introduced one lady who was an African, and she used to be a cleaner in the library. And she told her story about how the library supported her to get a degree, and she got back into education, and she got a degree, and then she got a great job. And I was thinking, she can do it with all the difficulties she's facing. I can do it too. So then I went back home, and I searched, and I found there were two. One was the Indira Gandhi Open University, and there was Annamalai Open University, because I couldn't go back to college.
Yeah.
Because kids were still young, right? I couldn't leave them at home and go. And so I filled up my form for MA Literature, because I was above 37 and by now, and they allowed the older person to do MA directly. So I did my master's in English literature through Open University, and I started studying again. At the same time, my children were growing up, and there was a lot of things happening in India. Bad teachers, not all teachers are bad, but when they come in the newspaper, it's all about beating up kids, heavy bags, difficult schooling for the poor and the vulnerable and the marginalized. And I was studying to become a special ed. And one very defining thing happened is one day I was walking in open house, where the parents come to meet the teachers. I was walking behind one of my son's best friend and his mother. Now, they didn't know I was behind him, and he was a great footballer. And the mother said, you've got such bad marks in maths, which is like you got only 86%, which I didn't think was bad. But she says, you've not got your 90s in maths, I'm going to stop your football. And my heart said, he loves football. How are you taking that away from your child? That was one day I said, I'm going to do something for kids like this, so that they don't, have to leave their study, the thing that they love. Because you see, Sunanda, as a special ed, I realized that, when we take them into a special class, we take them away from sports and arts, which is probably their best subject. So we're depriving them of what they love. And I said, this is not fair. This cannot be done. I'm going to do something about it. So these were things that were very, very defining. And can I just go ahead and tell you one more thing?
Yes.
Because this is going straight to my PhD.
Because that's exactly where I was going. That how did you get to PhD after this? So go ahead.
Okay, I'll tell you that first, and then I'll tell you the story behind that.
Yeah.
So I was a special ed, and I was teaching in a class. I was teaching through drama. I was teaching a mixed group. So there was one mentally challenged child, one girl with aphasia, two hyperactivity disorder children, two with mild learning disability, two with severe learning disability, and one slow learner. So there were these 9-10 kids with such a mixed group. And I was teaching them through drama, and I was basically teaching them social skills. So communication and all that, not life skills, social skills. And I found that in a year they had changed. I mean, I cannot tell you how well they had changed.
Yeah.
They've become so much more confident, their self-esteem had gone up, their self-awareness had changed, the way they were talking. The one with aphasia had become the grandmother of the class, you know. So, as you would know, children with aphasia have a big problem talking. And to become the grandmother of the child is a big thing. So I wrote to a university in England and asked them for a short course to teach me how to use drama in education properly. Because up till now, I was just doing things I knew as an actor.
Yeah.
They wrote to me and they said, with a CV like yours, would you consider doing a PhD?
Wow.
Now I'm a typical middle class Indian mother. And another thing is I'm very aware of ideas like overspending, you know, especially at that time, okay, overspending foreign exchange, which people don't think about, okay. And I was thinking, do I want to spend foreign exchange on me when my kids are going to soon want to study and maybe go abroad? And you know what happened, Sunanda? They gave me a full scholarship. So I didn't have to
I
spend
mean,
any of the foreign
your
exchange.
background in theater and drama, I am not surprised. But the fact that you made the first attempt, I think that's very important, because that letter that you wrote, that was very
Yes,
important. Things don't, there are lots of opportunities out there, but they don't come walking to you. The first step has to be initiated by you. And
yes.
a little, you have to have that fire in you, and then doors will open. I think that's a very important point, because
You
you
know, there's a similar point to this. I'll tell you this is self care,
Mm,
right? People think self care is not important. It's like simple when that oxygen thing is supposed to fall in the aeroplane.
yeah,
What do they say? You know, put it on yourself first and then help the other.
yeah, yeah,
Right? So I knew that I had to do something for myself if I wanted to continue to be a good mother and a good wife and, a good family person.
yeah.
So these are small things we women forget.
I think
So,
I think also, sort of listening to your story, I think at some point in your life, I don't know if you've ever thought on those lines, but when you were a 16, 17, 18-year old and you were not writing your exams, not because you didn't know, but because of boredom. So clearly, nobody was framing or tailoring the curriculum of your school for you, right? It was one size fits all. That is what schools
yes,
are, one size fits all. So I think somewhere there you did not want to give it all up, but you did not have a tailored curriculum that would fit
yeah,
for you, and you would do everything that you love and get the degree as well, because that was not allowed. That was not the
yes,
system. You were forced to do what everyone was doing, and we all know all children are different. So I think you carried it from there, although you never knew it, but at the back of your mind you carried it, and you probably wanted to find a way, a curriculum where students can do what they like, and at the same time they are not forced to drop out. They can get their degrees. They don't
yes,
have to, not everyone has to get a degree in physics. Not everyone has to get a degree in chemistry. They can get degrees in things that they like. So I think there is a thread there, right from the beginning, that
right.
there is a thread there. So here you are, and now you've been offered a PhD,
PhD.
and what do you do next?
So around that time, I was traveling too. And of course, when I did my PhD, I was all, kind of helped with my title. And the title was, I was clear about using drama.
Mm,
I was clear about learning disabilities. I wasn't clear about this thing called life skills. So I was given this title by a person who was going to be my director of studies. And it was the role of drama in enhancing life skills in children with learning disabilities in a school in Mumbai.
mm,
So life skill was given to me and it kind of fell into my lap. and I didn't know what life skills were, and I started studying it. At that time, a very horrific thing happened to me. I was in New York 9/11,
Yeah.
doing that play, which, we started it then, and you saw it a little later
Yeah.
because we did many shows.
Mm.
And I was half an hour away from the Twin Towers, and I saw them collapse. And I came back to the hotel because that's all we could do. We couldn't go out of New York. New York was war zone.
Yeah.
And I sat in front of the television, tried to connect with home, and I couldn't. So I was very tense because I knew that my children would be very scared because
Yeah.
they knew their mom's one roamer who would not be sitting in hotel rooms. So I just wanted them not to be scared for me.
So this is
But
2001. This is 2001.
yes, 2001.
Yeah.
And I'd already started my PhD at that time. But I saw on television the announcers crying and things like that, and they saying all institutes are closed tomorrow, and New York is closed tomorrow, flights are off, and nobody can go in and out of New York, and all that. But school teachers, school supervisors, and the principals have to meet tomorrow to understand and make a plan of how they will help the children face the trauma of today.
Wow.
And I thought, nobody does this for my children in India.
Yeah.
Look at this. They're thinking of trauma for the children have experienced, and when they come to school, they're going to help them recover from that trauma.
Yeah.
And nobody does that for my children in India. Mental health was not important at that time at all. Nobody talked of it. I said, I'm going to do something about it. I'm going to do something for the children of India and help them, face the problems that they face, help them face the problems that they experience in life well.
Mm.
I'm going to worry about the mental health of my children. So that was very, very important for me. And it just changed my mindset about how I would work for my PhD.
Mm.
It was like the wind, and for my wings, it kind of gave me more power because now my PhD had a meaning beyond myself. Before it was, I want to learn to become a better teacher. I want a PhD, I want a doctorate. But now it was, I want a doctorate because I want to help the million children of my country.
Yeah.
That just changed the way I looked at life and the way things were happening.
Yeah. So you are now doing. I would like to know a little bit about your life when you finish your PhD and what happens then now, because you have to now apply what you learned and what you researched to real life. But before that, give us a little brief understanding about, we talk about this word a lot, life skills, but what really is life skill? What really are life skills, and why must do we all have it, or do we acquire it, or do we learn it, or we just are born with it?
What a great question. Sunanda, you're brilliant. No wonder I call you lovely.
Thank you.
No, seriously. I mean, this is such a great question, because it just helps me answer a lot more with a great question. So, life skills are psychosocial skills with cognitive abilities. I love it because it's not social emotional learning. It's social, emotional, and cognitive.
Cognitive.
So, cognitive is the thinking part of it, the creative thinking, the critical thinking, which, by the way, is mentioned at least 40 times in the National Education Policy 2020. Okay, now these are skills. Just excuse me for sounding very teacher-like, but you can
Please.
understand it really well then.
Want to know. We have a very discerning audience, so go ahead.
Right. So these are skills. Now, skills means you need to learn them and you can practice. You must practice them. Okay? We are born with life skills, except one. I'll tell you about that. But we are born with all the life skills except one, and we have to augment them. That means we have to polish them, we have to work on them, we have to learn them. Like when the baby doesn't like the bed she's sleeping on, or her nappies are wet, she starts crying. That's communication, but it's not effective. So you slowly learn how to do effective communication. The skill that we are not born with is understanding of self, because we are born without that. And as we grow and we interact with people, like the first people we interact with is our family, our mothers, our fathers, our siblings. They help us to form an image of ourselves. Then our teachers, our friends, and so on. Now you have to practice them to become good. And that's why I would love for our government to put life skills in from primary, not from primary, sorry, from pre-primary, from nursery. Because the minute the child is in school, they should start learning life skills.
So life skill is not learning how to read and write.
No, that is not life skills. Life skills are things like understanding and managing emotions, understanding self, skills of empathy, communication, problem solving, decision making, creative thinking, and critical thinking.
And this can start right in pre-primary?
It can. You know what? They have this thing, they have these programs, good touch, bad touch.
Yeah.
What is good touch, bad touch? First, you have to know the emotion, right?
Right.
You have to know your emotion when somebody is giving you a bad touch. You have to know the other person's emotion when that person's giving you a bad touch. Simple as that. Then you need to be able to communicate that I don't like this. Or XYZ was, trying to call me or whatever. And no, mom, I didn't go. Or no, mom, this is what happened. Communication.
Yeah.
Like when somebody is getting bullied, even in the nursery class, empathy.
Yeah.
Or problem solving.
But teachers have to be trained in this. I don't
Yes.
think there is any requirement of teachers to be trained in life skills at least.
They should, everybody has to be trained in it. Because then you need to be trained in it to be able to teach it, right?
Yeah.
And there are rules for a lot of things, like communication. There are rules which you have to learn. And you know what? When you teach life skills, you become better at your life skills. And then you become a better teacher because, for example, the best teachers in the world are the empathetic teachers. So the more empathy you have, the better teacher you're going to be. It's going to improve your practice. So life skills is like a winner. It's like win all the way for everyone.
Yeah.
At all ages, you need it. You need it forever.
So once you finished your PhD, which is about enhancing life skills via drama, through drama, you are now Dr. Swaroop Rawal. You have the degree. Now you have to apply it to real world, and real world is not academia. Real world is not easy. It is not easy to get in there. It's not easy to get into the. Now you have to deal with bureaucracy. Now you have to deal with. Now you're not just working on yourself. Earlier you were just your only stumbling block was you yourself. Once you get rid of that, you are on your way to success. But now, for success, you are dependent on other people. The bureaucracy has to open its way. Schools have to open their way. People have to trust you with their children. So where did that journey of a trainer start?
So there is this great Swaroop who writes in her PhD, I'm going to change the lives of all the children of my country. And now I want to do it.
Yes.
So what do I do? I'm like this very naive, humble, simple person, which I still am. Okay, I'm not naive anymore, but I am still simple and humble. And I wrote to everybody, Sunanda, I still have that folder. When things become too good or things are very bad, I still open that folder and see the letters that I wrote.
Yeah.
I wrote a letter to everybody. NCRT chairperson, ministries of education, education secretaries, national level, state level, everyone. No one replied to me,
Wow.
except one day in the Times of India, I saw one small 1 inch by 1 column, literally that much, article which said that the CM of Gujarat, um Mr. Narendra Modi, is going to start a children's university. And so I wrote to him.
So you straight
You
away
know,
wrote to then CM.
I wrote, yes, then CM. I mean, like, how did I know he's going to become
You
PM?
you have never had issues writing letters, Sarubian.
I've never had. Paresh always complains to me, he still does. कि क्या तुम सबको लेटर लिखती रहती हो? So I said, how are they going to know? And there was I saying, I have this fantastic method of teaching. Please let me do something.
So you
So I wrote to him.
You wrote this to then Chief Minister of Gujarat,
Yes.
Narendra Modi.
I said, you're going to start this university. Please let me help you. I got a call. The day I sent the mail in the morning. In the afternoon, I got a call.
Wow.
And they said that CM will see you next week on Tuesday. Please come to Gandhinagar.
And this is, you've written length, breadth,
Everywhere. Everywhere.
south, east, west.
And I've written 2 lines.
And Chief Minister of Gujarat, then Chief Minister of Gujarat.
Chief Minister, right?
Yeah.
I'm not even a Gujarat state person. I'm living in Mumbai.
Yeah.
So he calls me. And you know what? This person was so fantastically ready for work that he called his 2 education secretaries to meet me before I entered his office.
Wow.
And I met both of them. In fact, both of them I became close to, but one I was really close, and she was our previous education secretary at the national level.
Yeah.
So I talked to them, and then he called me in, and I had this incredible conversation with him. I learned so much in that one conversation with him that it changed the way I started thinking. For example, I told him, he says, okay, kya karna hai now? You want to do workshops? Okay. So workshops, how many workshops? How many students? How many teachers? So I said 40. And he said, bus. So I said, sir, 40. So he says, bus. So I said, sir, 40, experiential learning and all, blah, blah, blue, blue, Okay, chalo, start work at least. So I said, okay. And I went home and I thought about it. And I said, why did he say this? Why did he say this? And I will tell you about that. Now hold on to that thought. Then he told me, when I was telling him mental health this, mental health that, WHO this, WHO that, he says, don't give me WHO figures. Give me Indian figures. So I said, India mein to aisa research hi nahi hua hai. So he said, then don't give me WHO. So I said, okay, SNDT ne chota research kiya hai. He said, give me that. I went home and I thought, why this? These 2 lessons were huge for me. I learned how to question WHO. I learned how to question UNICEF. I learned how to question UNESCO. I learned how to question biggest organizations as a researcher.
Yeah.
Because of that, I changed my life skill, core skills from coping with emotion and coping with stress to understanding and managing emotions.
Yeah.
I changed from self-awareness to understanding of self. I come from this great country of India where we talk about the self and Atma Chintan.
Yeah.
Why would I want to deprive my students of just learning self-awareness?
Yeah.
You see, my whole work changed. Another
So,
one minute, you need to hear this.
Yeah,
One minute. Let me just complete this.
Go ahead.
Then he said, small number, small number, small number. I realized we need to work on war footing if we have to change. And there he had used this in his openings, one of his speeches when he became the PM. Speed, skill, and scale. And that's what I learned on that day. in 2007, my work always has been about speed, scale, and skill. I did, because of him, 2.5 lakh teachers simultaneously. All the teachers of Gujarat simultaneously I've taught them. But it's him that, really helped me, because he told me, start working. Start working from tomorrow.
Yeah.
And then my life skill just changed. So,
Incredible story. Incredible story. These are how legends are built. Because obviously, at that point, no one knew he was going to be the prime minister. No one knew the scales he was going to reach. But as a chief minister, he had the vision. He had the vision.
vision. He had such incredible visions. Like he had Vache Gujarat,
Mm,
where my students have participated in that. Where when you read, if you read a lot, you get a whole lot of books as a gift.
yeah.
Imagine that, Vache Gujarat. If we had Vache Bharat, I
Yeah.
mean, Pade Bharat, like literally the skill of starting to read.
Yeah.
Then he did this beautiful thing, which is now I must tell you about this. It's so beautiful. It's about the Kala Utsav.
Mhm.
And I was just on the jury recently in January. 28 states, 8 UTs, Navo Vidyalaya and Kendriya Vidyalaya, 38 boys, 38 girls in 10 streams. Indian art, folk art, 2D art, 3D art, drama, solo, dance, music, instrumental. 10 streams, 750 children from their states performing arts.
Yeah.
Wow.
Incredible. So then you start work from Gujarat.
Gujarat.
Government of Gujarat comes forward, and
Yes.
the only state government to do that, even though you live in Maharashtra, but the state government Gujarat comes forward and gives you a platform, because you obviously needed a platform with
Yes.
all
Yes.
the information. You now needed a platform, and you needed support base to implement what you had learned and what you had researched.
Yes. Yes.
So then what do you do in Gujarat? Did you go from school to school? Were you teaching students, or were you teaching teachers to become better teachers?
Again, what a good question. Because I was doing both.
Mm,
There is one thing I believe, that if I became a teacher trainer only and stopped teaching children, I would forget what it is to be inside a classroom.
yeah.
So, till today, I've never given up teaching children. And I'm perhaps the only teacher in the world that teaches children from nursery to postgraduate. Like children, not postgraduate. I keep calling them children, and they go, "Okay, ma'am." I say, "Okay, with my gray hair, I can still call you children, even though you're 18 and 19." But yes. So one thing as a teacher, I'd always decided I would never stop being in the classroom,
Mm,
because the whole game in the classroom is different. Like I say, the war starts when the bell rings. So I had to be in that war all the time. But I started teacher training.
mm.
And today, at least until 2015, I had taught all the teachers of Gujarat, all the government primary school teachers.
Today you can say that you've taught all teachers of Gujarat.
Yes,
No
in
wonder, no
2015.
wonder Mr. Modi called you Gujarat ki Mastrani,
Yes, he's to Master G.
Master Ji.
Yes. After that, I did teach in Maharashtra,
Yeah.
because we were lucky to have a different government at that time.
Mhm,
And I taught the 10 sensitive districts of Maharashtra.
mhm.
That is Gadchiroli, Nandurbar, Amravati, Osmanabad, where the teachers and the students have a great lot of problems. And one of the most beautiful programs I've done in Nandurbar, which is the most tribal area of our country nearly, because it's bang in the middle and it touches Maharashtra, Madhya Pradesh, and Gujarat.
Mm.
And we re-engaged 500 children back to school.
Wow. So it's been almost 10 years since you've started working in the field of education. Not, I mean,
PhD.
post your
Yeah,
PhD, it has been a decade of your applying whatever you've learned in the field,
yeah,
in field work. So
yeah.
a decade is a good time to analyze, look back, and see, have I made a difference? Have the lives of children changed? Have the lives of teachers changed? Because they were not aware of any of this. Um, when you look back and when you see, do you see successful examples?
I see 100% success rate.
Wow.
And that's because life skills is like that. The
Mm.
other thing is that I was using experiential learning, drama in education, which is the best kind of learning. So, first, let me give you some examples of teachers. Of course, like there's one teacher who says that I was teaching for 10 years before you taught me how to teach. Suddenly, I love teaching, I love my students, and I love myself. I mean, love, he literally used the word love, which is such a beautiful thing for a teacher to say that I love my students.
Yeah.
One of my teachers had come to my workshop and she said, "This is the last workshop I'm ever going to do, and after this, I'm going to stop teaching," in 2007. Today, she is one of the best teachers of Gujarat. She's the head teacher, and her school is called the Adarsh Pathshala.
Wow.
Mental health, KGBVs. I was teaching the Kasturba Gandhi Balika Vidyalaya teachers who themselves are very vulnerable. And once I asked them that, okay, tell me, we've not met for 6 months. When did you remember me and life skills? And when one teacher got up and she said, "Ma'am, my father is a heart patient. My brother is having mental health issues. One day I went to the Panwala and bought a blade. And I went home and I opened the blade and I remembered you and I put the blade away." I think I had goosebumps at that time. And this person in front of 40 other people is saying that, she stopped, committing suicide. So the other one had a little bit of more strength and she says, "I closed office at 3:30. I went home. I took my dupatta. I stood on the chair. Ma'am, I remember you." And I got down. Another one told me that my brother is a security guard and his legs got cut off in an accident. And life was so difficult. I only survived because of life skill education. And I'm thinking, wow, that really made a difference. Another program I've done in Bhavnagar district with peer training, peer mentor training, young girls of 14, 15, 16. They went and they changed their village. Like there were no, this is 2014 when we were just started. I know it was 2013 and 14 when we had just started the Swachhata Abhiyan. But these girls went door to door and explained to the people that they don't want to go out, and go to the toilets outside, and each house should have a toilet. So they got toilets made in every house in all the villages that they lived in the Bhavnagar district. They stopped tobacco, themselves taking tobacco and tobacco outside schools. So many of them prevented child marriage. Yes, that is a reality. Child marriages do happen. But these young girls took a stand. They said they won't do child marriage, and at every time they will try to stop child marriage. So these are some of them. Like I told you, Nandurbar, 500 children re-engaged in school. So this is 100% success rate.
Wow, this is incredible. When we think about when you talk about life skills and when you talk about you think about those forgive me for saying this, but those quote unquote society women talking about things that sometimes don't even
Yeah.
matter to ordinary people. But what you are saying is you are actually going down and doing these workshops in the remotest of villages. They might not know what the word life skill even means, but
Yes.
you are teaching them something that they can hold on to, and they can lead a better quality of life. Whatever they
Yeah.
are doing, they can do it better.
Yes. Yes.
So I think that would be my definition of a life skill, that it teaches you
Yes.
or it gives you the ability to do whatever you are doing to the best of your
Best.
ability.
Yes.
That would but
Yes.
so it is all wonderful to say this, Ruben, but you were born in South Bombay.
Bombay.
You
I
are
went to the best school in India.
child of privilege. Let's not
Yeah.
forget that. A child of privilege, married into privilege. You lived a privileged life. This is not what we think of actors. Was it a mind shift change? Were you never did you never have a mindset of a star or an actor to begin
Yeah.
with, and this just happened? Or did you change? Did you have to change that mindset?
No, I never had that mindset of a star, and my husband would never let me have it because, first of all, he doesn't have it,
Yeah.
and we're very, very simple people, which I love. So there's no complaint about that.
The credit must also go to your parents, because that's where it
Yes,
starts.
my parents, even, but especially my husband, because he's been a very defining person in my life since I was 16, right?
Yeah.
So it was always, that's not important, this not important, work is important. One beautiful thing he told me, which I really think he empowered me, is when I started working in education, he told me, Swaroop, one day he told me, Swaroop, don't take money for this. We have a lot. And I think that's so great, like he made me sit right on the top of it by
Because
saying that I would do seva
that
for the
that
children
added
of
two
my.
things for you. That liberated you, A,
Yeah.
and that made you responsible for and in control of your own decisions. Because if you're not
Yeah.
taking any money, then you can do the things the way you want. You're not
Yes.
really dependent
And people keep saying, no, you must take money for it, don't do things for free. But I don't believe that. I'm so happy doing things for free. I think it must be my passion,
Yeah,
which just catches everybody. Like I remember this privilege thing, people think, oh, she's a star. So when I went to Nandurbar for the first time, I promise you, now they're my dearest friends, those teachers over there, the
yeah,
tribe teachers, who are teaching in the tribals, and some of them are Dalits and different people, and they said, let her come, we'll get photographs taken with her, and then just send her packing back to Mumbai. But I came and I said, I'm talking of love for your students.
yeah,
I'm talking of fun for your children. I was on all my fours with the children from the tribal area, with them sitting in my lap. And it just didn't make a difference to me, because when I'm with my children, with the children of my country, I'm not looking at their clothes, I'm not looking at their color, I'm not looking at their dirt, I'm just looking at their heart.
yeah,
And I want them, I want them to learn. So they, saw that, and now they're my best friends. And one day they told me this. They said, we were not going to learn from you. We were just going to take photographs with you and send you packing back to Mumbai. So I faced a lot of that because of my privilege.
yeah,
I've had lots of people thinking I'm not a good researcher or not a strong researcher because I'm beautiful.
yeah.
You
Or because
see,
you're an
I'm,
actor and we don't associate these things with an actor. Arey, actor,
yeah.
kya pata padhai ka, that kind of a thing.
Yeah, अरे वो तो Miss India है तो what, like what does she know about research? And excuse me, I'm one of the world's best researcher in qualitative studies. So, I mean, these stereotypes have really troubled me a lot.
Yeah,
But I think I'm made by God this way to fight and be, where I am.
yeah.
So
You have,
what I would suggest
mm,
is that we should find our what is right for me may not be right for you. So I don't want to be preachy and say, oh, go out and do this, but find what you can do
Yeah.
and do it. Because there was one lesson which I learned is, Sunanda, it's such a beautiful lesson. It is that घर अपने family के लिए सब करते हैं. What did you do for society? I would say, what did you do for your country, which has given you so much? What did you do for this land, which allows you to stand? What did you do for this beautiful India, Bharat, which has given you this culture, which has given you this power? We were the first people, when it came to franchise, there was no two ways. Women went to vote when India became independent. There was not a thought that should women be voting.
Yeah. No. Indian women got universal franchise right away.
Immediately, I mean, there was no two ways.
We must be proud about.
We should be proud about it. We have to do something for our country and our people who are not privileged enough.
Right.
So it could be anything.
The end of this almost, but I have to ask you two questions that are very important. First, now that you have seen both sides of the table or both sides of the spectrum, what does beauty mean to you now? It's not a cliched question if it sounds, but what I really want to know is, for a lot of young girls out there, it's very easy for us to say, physical beauty doesn't matter, it's what you bring. But it does matter, when you are going out there, it does matter what you bring to the table. It does matter how you present yourself, how you walk, how you talk, how you do. What is beauty now to you? After all these years, what does beauty mean to you?
So there is two aspects to it. Definitely the physical one. But the physical one doesn't hold. I found that true, It doesn't hold up if you're not beautiful from inside.
Yeah.
And it's not a cliche. I'm telling you this. The younger ones who are listening to me, listen, look at my gray hair. And I'm telling you this, is that I have seen women who are more beautiful than me, better dressed than me, richer than me, wearing bigger diamonds, or more expensive clothes, so whatever, which you would say that is for beauty. But that is not enough unless that heart of yours is beautiful. Yeah. It has to be. I read one line which was really funny. I read Beauty with a Purpose and I thought, oh wow, that's so great. And you know what it turned out, Sunanda? I just died. I mean, I was so embarrassed because it said how to use creams beautifully. Oh, well. And I'm like, is that what purpose is? No. And so I think beauty with a purpose is when you are leading a meaningful life. I am very spiritual. And I believe in bhakti, jnana, and karma.
Yeah.
And that is what makes you beautiful. Because if I'm beautiful, it is because genetics. But genetics was given to me by Lord Krishna. Or, the divine.
You cannot take any credit for it.
I cannot take credit for it.
You cannot take credit for it. Yeah.
I cannot take credit for my brains. Because again, that was given to me by him.
What you can take credit for is what you do.
What I'm doing, yes. Yeah. And what I'm doing for the glory of the divine.
And that's beautiful.
That is beautiful.
Yeah,
that is beautiful.
I agree. Swaroop, you have gone from modeling to pageants to acting to theater, and you've done all this. And you've also been an educator and you've been a trainer. What are next 25 years in your life? What do you see? I know you don't plan, but
I know.
At least you have dreams for yourself, or at least there is something that you want to be seen. You've accomplished so much, and yet there are things that you have not accomplished yet, or you would like to accomplish yet. What are the next 20-25 years of your life looking like to you?
So, like I told you, it started with the children of my country,
Mm,
my children. Everyone is mine. So it started with that. And there was a moment when I thought, all the children of the world.
yeah.
But sorry, I've come back to my children again because I think they need me more.
Yeah.
And I want to reach out to every last child. And that is a very difficult thing. But I'm going to make the most gloriously beautiful curriculums because I'm great at that.
Yeah.
I'm really good at that.
Mm,
And I want to do that. I want to, it's very ambitious. You know, Sunanda, very funnily, when I was working in films, I thought I'm not an ambitious person,
mm.
which is, yeah, okay, fine, like, but it's funny that when I came into education, I realized that I'm a very ambitious person. I am very, very ambitious. I have very big dreams. Like, I don't want to make the world, I don't want to make my students strong to face the difficult world. I want to make my students so beautiful, so compassionate, so caring that they will change the world and make it beautiful and compassionate.
Such a
Now,
lovely.
that is a huge dream.
That's a
The
lovely.
other thing is arts. I work in arts, and I definitely know that arts cannot change the world, but it can change the human being that can change the world.
Yeah.
So I'm going to do this is now the next years of my, it's a progress from life skill and holistic learning and, things like this bagless school where I want to teach my children about pre-vocational education and things like that. I want to work with Indian aesthetics and spirituality. And I want to work on that and make curriculums which will allow me to bring spirituality and Indian aesthetics into our curriculum.
Yeah.
That's very ambitious. I know it sounds, it's like in one sentence, but it is a big dream.
No, but you will find allies on the way, I'm sure, and you will find people who have been touched by your work. So, Ruben, this has been such
Thank
a
you.
wonderful conversation, and it has really re-energized me, and I'm sure it will re-energize everyone who's listening and who will listen to this in future. Life does not end anywhere. Life only ends when you want it to end. Otherwise, it moves on, and you should allow yourself to go with the flow. And there is no all these bondages are man-made, that you cannot do so and so after the age of 20, you cannot do so and so after the age of 30, you cannot do so and so after the age of 40. You can do anything at any age. So
Absolutely.
there is absolutely no stopping anyone. And I think, as I said in the beginning, your life is your message. So when you lead such a wonderful life, you have no airs about yourself. It is so easy to approach you. It is so easy to be. You're so accessible, and I think that in itself is a lesson to a whole new generation out there, that being humble and being open to new ideas is not outdated concept. Still, it
Yes,
never will be
absolutely.
outdated.
Yeah.
Being graceful and being understanding will never be outdated, no matter where the world goes. Being graceful will always take you places. Thank you so much for your grace.
Thank
Thank you
you. It
so much
is.
for who you are. And thank you so much for this conversation today. I am having lots of questions. I mean, people, my phone is buzzing. There are people watching who sent us a lot of questions. I guess we have to do a part two of this now with all the
Always. It's such a pleasure talking to you. Like I told you, you asked the most fabulous questions because if you didn't, I may not have been able to say all these things, you know.
no,
And
no.
you know about me and boredom. So at one point, I may have just got bored and, said things in one sentence. So
No, you were just absolutely incredible.
thank you.
All your stories are incredible. Your life is incredible. Thank you so
Thank
much
you.
for being on
Thank you.
Epicenter. Thank you.
Thank you.
And my
Bye.
dear audience, thank you. If you like these conversations, if you like these varied conversations, please follow us. Please share our work. Please talk about our work. It is important that you show us the appreciation by sharing our work, by liking, by subscribing to our channel, and by giving us your feedback and the names of the guests that you would like to be interviewed here, or the conversations or the topics that you would like to talk. We promise to bring you the very best in their fields. Thank you so much. Do like, share, subscribe to Epilogue. Do follow Epilogue on all its social media networks. I'm on Twitter. You know where to find me. If you have any questions, you can reach out to me there. And this is Sunanda Vashisht signing off. Thank you.